The 49ers Report is emanating live once again from Super Bowl Radio Row in downtown Phoenix, and we have another loaded show coming your way. No matter where you are or how you're tuned in, greatly appreciate all of you for watching today's show. As for what we're getting into on the program today, could the 49ers trade for Chase Young to get some help for Nick Bosa on the opposite side of that defensive line of scrimmage? George Kittle went on Von Miller's podcast and said that Brock Purdy has earned the 49ers starting quarterback role, and we also had an opportunity to spend a few moments with Christian McCaffrey, an exclusive interview coming up with CMC on the tail end of today's 49ers Report. But we do begin with Chase Young, and an interesting report here that's been trickling out of our nation's capital that the Washington Commanders might not exercise Chase Young's fifth-year option, and because of that, could he become a potential trade candidate at some point this offseason? Now, this is very interesting as it pertains to the 49ers because I do think one of the biggest needs for San Francisco heading into this offseason is to simply get Nick Bosa some help. We've talked ad nauseum about how you have to build up at defensive tackle. You have to get some depth there. Javon Kinlaw's been an overwhelming bust so far, but behind him, you have to fortify that depth. But also, on the other side of that defensive line, I'd love to see this organization really prioritize not just re-signing a Samson Ebukam, who I'd like to see come back on the cheap because he's a good speed rusher. I'd really like San Francisco with Steve Wilkes coming in, still running that 4-3 and the wide 9, which allows Nick Bosa to get after the passer to simply get a stud at that other defensive end spot so that Nick Bosa is able to conserve himself throughout the regular season so that he can stay fresh in the playoffs, which we didn't see this year because he was getting double teamed at all times. And Chase Young is a really good player. Him and Nick Bosa do have some familiarity. They overlapped at Ohio State, two premium edge rushers with the Buckeyes, and Chase Young has all-world talent. But so far up to this point, because he tore his ACL in 2021 and barely played in 2022, as he recovered from that injury, the production hasn't necessarily been there. But in his rookie year, 15 games played, we certainly got a glimpse of what he is capable of in this league. And late in the year when San Francisco played against Washington, he actually made his debut against San Francisco. So year one, 7.5 sacks, was barely able to do anything in year two because of that knee injury. And this year, only a couple of games played, but when he's right, when he's on the field, this guy really does have a lot of potential to be a physical freak in this league and be a very good edge rusher, especially if he's playing alongside Nick Bosa. And for Nick Bosa, back-to-back years in which he has had insane production getting after the quarterback, and I think this year he actually took a lot of strides in terms of him playing against the rush. I thought that he was really good in a multifaceted approach with both causing nightmares for opposing quarterbacks when they drop back to pass, but also just tackling running backs behind the line of scrimmage. And this is really impressive considering he's always taking on those double teams. Back-to-back years, he's combined for 15.5 sacks and 18.5 sacks. And this year, you really thought that going into 2022 it was going to be hard to duplicate his success from 2021 when he came off that torn ACL and had a career-high 15.5 sacks. Well, here he is in 2022 being even better. 18.5. The sack number that he was able to notch with an astounding 48 quarterback hits, 19 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles, 51 tackles for Nick Bosa. Obviously, heading into that fifth-year option in which he is set to make just shy of $18 million, he is going to get paid. Make him happy, not just with the money, but by bulking up on that defensive line. As for what it might cost a lot for Washington to trade away Chase Young, but as we know, San Francisco doesn't have a first-round pick. They have somewhat limited draft capital in the first 2 rounds, but they are loaded with a plethora of picks after that, and they do have some really good players on this roster who could also be included in a trade as well. So would you trade for Chase Young? It's your opportunity to be a part of the show and treat that comment section like a Sports Talk Radio call-in line. Bang, bang, Niner Gang, T for trade, P for pass. Let us know your thoughts down below in the comment section. George Kittle on Von Miller's podcast. I actually saw George Kittle on Super Bowl Radio Row. Him, Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel. Ayuk hasn't been here, but the others have been, and they are still very bitter about that loss in the NFC Championship game, and at some point they're going to have to look ahead. And as you look ahead, which quarterback is going to be the starter in 2023? Is it going to be Brock Purdy? Is it going to be Trey Lance? Both of those quarterbacks coming off of those injuries. We talked to Pro Football Doc a little bit earlier about this Brock Purdy elbow surgery as well as Trey Lance. If you didn't catch that video, make sure you watch it. Very informative discussion there. But as for what George Kittle said about the quarterback spot heading into 2023, quote, "It's Brock's job to lose." Here's exactly what he had to say to Von Miller. And I thought he made some good points here. Certainly fair in his assessment. I don't know what's going on with Jimmy. He's a free agent, so whatever happens, happens. Trey Lance is still there. Trey, unfortunately, and this is what I like here because it's real, has not really gotten a fair shot at being an NFL quarterback. He got a full rain game, monsoon, against the Bears, and he got hurt in the second game. Trey's got plenty of talent. He just needs to get out there and play. But you can't talk about Brock Purdy with what he did. He's fantastic. Our offense was operating at the highest it's been since 2019, and in my opinion, it's Brock's job to lose. But there will be competition because Brock will be out until training camp with his surgery. It's going to be interesting. But when you find a guy like that can seamlessly jump in, it's his job to lose. And for George Kittle, did he say anything that is false there? Trey Lance is 6'4", 225 with the rocket for an arm. He's a good athlete with solid mobility, and he's certainly shown some flashes. But he's had a difficult time on the football field, both with staying healthy in terms of his health, but also some of his production as his accuracy and his consistency has waned a little bit. But most notably, he has not been given a fair shot because of those injuries. And then against the Chicago Bears week 1, 49ers go down, but the conditions not ideal with throwing the football. But if you actually go back and watch what Trey Lance did in that game, I thought that he completed a couple of good passes. Brock Purdy, by the way, saying moments ago on KNBR radio in San Francisco that the elbow procedure going to be kind of a hybrid potential approach there with the reconstruction and then adding some stability into that arm. Like I said, go back and watch what Dr. David Chow had to say on the program a little bit earlier today. All right, a big poll question that we're going to continue to really test you with all throughout this offseason because it's one of the more fascinating storylines across the National Football League. Pick a starter for this football team. They're loaded. They have an opportunity to win a Super Bowl and compete for one in 2023, Brock Purdy or Trey Lance. Coming up next on the show, had an opportunity to spend a few moments with Christian McCaffrey. Had to ask him a couple of questions about that loss to the Philadelphia Eagles, his thoughts about being with San Francisco following that trade and the future of this organization. Make sure you stay tuned for that because not a lot of people have had that opportunity on a non-national platform if you're not with the NFL Network. But that's what we do here on the 49ers Report, and that's why you subscribe. But first, I want to tell you about BetUS, today's sponsor and the best sportsbook in the game that has the best deal that any sportsbook has to offer. A 125% deposit bonus if you plug in that link down below, chatsports.com/49bet with the promo code Niners125. Now, I failed elementary algebra at Temple University in Philadelphia, but this is simple math here. You put in $100 using our link in that promo code, and then you get a 125% deposit bonus back. That's $225 to game with. And you look at the Super Bowl 57 odds, this is a line that has continued to fluctuate over the last couple of weeks. Philadelphia right now, 1-point favorites with the over-under set at 51. And with the Super Bowl, not only are the commercials great, some of the prop bets are also fantastic. And here on Super Bowl Radio Row, it's not just me that's been grinding. It's boss man Brett. It's Harrison Graham. It's also our betting extraordinaire producer Sam Brown, who is going to come on the mic here and explain why he likes some of these props. And, of course, it's always about the over, Sam.
Well, yeah, I had to lead with the over for obvious reasons.
Can't be scared
I'm not going to bet an under. It's against my moral code. Listen, the Super Bowl has never been my best game when it comes to actually hitting on some of these bets, but I do feel really good about these 5 right here. Over 50.5. I feel like this is going to be a 27-24 game right along the lines of that 1-point spread. Coin toss, tails never fails. It goes every year. I'm taking tails every single year. Isaiah Pacheco, over 14.5 receiving yards. With Patrick Mahomes still not quite 100% with that high ankle sprain.
I like that.
I could see some checkdowns in that. I think Jerick McKinnon is going to have more of a role in the pass blocking, which makes Pacheco a little bit more of a threat receiving. Devonta Smith, anytime touchdown, plus 162. I actually really like the value on this one.
He's a stud.
You're talking about a guy who went for, 200 yards in the first half
and
in the national championship.
Yeah.
in the national championship against Georgia. I like him there. And then I'm always going to put a little bit of money down on the Gatorade shower. I like the value of Blue at plus 200. I'm never going to take anything for the Gatorade shower that's like less than 150 just because it's an utter crapshoot. And so I like blue. Blue's my favorite color. It's not red. It's not green. It's not going to be yellow. It's not going to be purple. It's going to be blue.
I think it was Devontae Smith against Ohio State, right, going off in the national championship game
yes.
a couple of years ago, not Georgia.
I said Georgia.
Either way, these are great bets here. Producer Sam trying to rake in that cash. All right, now it is time for our interview with Christian McCaffrey. Really excited to bring this to you. Had to track him down and had an opportunity to ask him a couple of questions. So here you go, Christian McCaffrey exclusively right here on the San Francisco 49ers Report by Chat Sports. All right, we're here with 49ers running back Christian McCaffrey, and I don't know if you know this, but you on NFL Network today saying, I hope both teams lose, has gone viral on social media. But you look at how well the Niners were playing going into the NFC Championship game, 12 straight wins. This is a team with Pro Bowlers, All Pros, future Hall of Famers. Do you feel as though because of the injury to Brock and Josh Johnson that this squad somewhat got robbed of an opportunity to make it to the Super Bowl?
We got beat, we got robbed because they made some plays that ended up hurting our guys. So props to them. There's no excuses ever with me as far as winning and losing. Obviously, you wish that it didn't go that way and that we had a healthy quarterback. It's just tough to win when you don't have a quarterback. But they're the ones who made it happen. So props to them. We lost, and I think it's just fuel for next year. We got a lot of guys coming back, a lot of really good players coming back. So we'll definitely carry that chip all off season.
Prior to this year, had a couple of injury-plagued seasons. Before that, you were an All-Pro in this league, putting up historical numbers. And this year, nearly 2,000 all-purpose yards. And in Kyle Shanahan's offense, it looked as though you were rejuvenated, and your usage in this offense allowed you to really thrive and flourish. How much did you enjoy being a Niner after the trade, especially considering you played your college ball in NorCal, Stanford?
I loved it, man. I really did. I thought, they made it such a seamless transition for me. All the coaches helped me so much. The guys on the team welcomed me with open arms and couldn't have made it easier on me. So I was really thankful for all that. And then obviously the dynamic offense that it is, the weapons that you have around me, and it's a special team to be around. So I'm really proud, I'm happy, and I'm thankful that I got traded there.
You mentioned this team being special. As we look forward, this is a roster that has a lot of guys under 30 years old and a lot of guys returning. What's the future, and how excited are you for the 2023 San Francisco 49ers to try to chase that Super Bowl?
Yeah, we're fired up. I think not only that, you have a lot of guys who they've built a culture over the last 6 years that's a special culture to be a part of. So, I'm happy to now be a part of that and continue to work with these guys who are hungry and playing at a high level and know that we can do it.
With you dealing with some injuries, Brock Purdy, today it's announced he's undergoing surgery later in February on that elbow. Have you talked to him about that injury and maybe giving him some inspiration and some confidence as he goes under the knife, and what can he bring this offense? And then there might be a quarterback competition with Trey Lance as well.
Yeah, he's resilient as there is. He's a guy that's going to approach every day. He doesn't need my advice. If he wants it, I'll give it to him. And I would just tell him to keep being him. He's Mr. Irrelevant, and to do what he did this year. That guy doesn't need to know how to work hard. He doesn't need anybody telling him how to be in his rehab. He's going to attack it. I know he is, and I'm fired up for him.
So just like Christian McCaffrey is versatile coming out of the backfield as a pass catcher, in the slot as a wide receiver, and running the football in between the tackles, outside of the tackles, we try to be versatile with our coverage here on the 49ers Report. News, rumors, analysis, live shows, watch parties, audience interaction, and of course, some interview content. And we've been coming at you all week from Super Bowl Radio Row. It was, of course, a very impressive season for Christian McCaffrey, nearly 2,000 all-purpose yards between his stint with the Niners as well as the Carolina Panthers. And that trade, I think the most impactful in-season trade of all time in the history of the NFL, because this offense averaged 30 points per game after his arrival. 12-game winning streak was fantastic and made a trip to the NFC Championship game. And if you were impressed with McCaffrey's first year in the Bay, type his jersey number down below. Give me that 2-3. And if you want to give me a follow on Twitter and Instagram, there I am down below at Chase_Senior. Same handle on both social media platforms, and keep it locked right here on the 49ers Report as we approach 80,000 subscribers for more great content.